Okay, let's talk about the guide tab in here. I have a simple plane here that is I make it editable, and I undocked all of these menus of the hair here to better select all my hair. This is a selection. This is an I will explain them one by one, but I undocked it here to access them better. I don't want to go groom. I just want to go in a standard because in some cases I need to go standard version of my selection. But you can simply go to simulation and add her. I unlock it again, and to better see that, right click to large icon. This is my main tool. Okay, you have to select your object and add her. You can see it simply create an guides for me, and and in between these guides the hair are creating. So if you edit and control the guides, actually you edit and control the hairs. If you go to the hairs, first thing that you face here is the guides. First here you can see the linked object. If you open this, you can see the properties of the plane. You can see it's these properties. I mean, so the most important thing out here is the count. You can increase or decrease the number of the kind. Why you cannot go over this number? Because of the root. The root is where the roots. This is root and this is tip. You can see the selection. This is a tip at the end of the hair, roots at the first beginning of the hair, the points in between them, and vertex of the hair. So roots mean from where these hairs will be grown. Polygon vertex. And we have this number of the polygons, and you cannot go above this number. You can go less, but you cannot go. So if you want to more guides, you have to go to, for example, a polygon mode. In the polygon mode, it's trying to distribute the hair on the polygon surface of the object, and then you can increase the number of your hair and just randomly change it. Another things, you can go to the area of your polygon. It's another distribution. In most cases, area is nice. The center of the polygon, you can see, but again, you cannot see over this number because we have uh, this number of the polygon. It's going to the polygon center. Again, it's the polygon vertex. It's the default polygon edges. It's going to the polygon edge. And another thing that you can go, it's the UV. UV and UV grid. We need an UV for our plane. If you come here, you can see we have a simple UVR tool here. So for making an UV, you need to go and have an UV. Make sure that you have an UV. If you shift double click, you can see it's a UV, your image. You can see UV mesh, and we have UV settings there. Or you can set UV from the projection. It's on a flat, and I think it's okay. But you can see the projection angle is not good, but it's automatically creating UV for you, and it's done. I explained all of the UV's tools before. You can refer to my UV section. Okay, if you go to the UV, it's changing based on the UV. Okay, I'm going to the UV editor to see some changes. Okay, this is UV editor, and this is UV, my UV. And if you double click, you can see, you can scale your UV and move it. The distribution of the hair are based on the UV. For example, if I detach this UV of my tools here, if you select it, If you select the plane, you can see this is corresponding UV polygon of this. And if I make it bigger and bigger and bigger, you can see it's occupied more space of the um, UV. And in a hair, this is on a UV, and you need to regrow it and increase the number of the UVs. I will be explaining more about this, but if you want to see the changes, you have to update guides, go to the update guides, but in some cases it's automatic update is turned on. If you have any changes in these tabs and you cannot see the changes, or we can update a guide. Or if you change the topology of your you can see we have a different tabs here in the guide: the root, that I'm explaining now, growth, and editing. The most important thing is editing, because we now need to regroup or reroute. I will explain it more. But now we can see, because we are in a root, we are in a UV, and this UV polygon is occupying more space, more hair in this place. So it's actually UV. If you change to the UV grid, it's changing update guide. It's changing the UV based on the grids. You can see based on the grid of the UV grid. You can go to the view and you can change this, but make sure that your UV is exactly in this tile, because if you update the guides, you can see in this polygon that is outside of your UV tile, it does not showing hair on it. If you go to the filter and UV grid, you can see the UV grid, and based on these grids, it's calculating UVs if you want. Okay, come back to our default UV. So you can delete this UV, make hair again on area, update and regrow if you want. And in growth tab, that you can access density of this hair with the texture, we need an UV. To better see our plane, I give you can see we have a lots of hair material here. I simply add simple material to the plane, double click, and I want to make it darker to better see my hair. Before going to the next section, okay, let's create our UV. You can make it on wrap, but in this case it's not good. You can set it to flat, or frontal box, or anything that you want. But in this case, box is better for. And you can see we create our UV, and it's done. And we can come back to standard and see other settings. Okay, we'll come back into the standard mode, and then we are going back to hair and see other settings. You can see, unfortunately, all of my open windows are disappear because I didn't save my layout. I explain how to save your own layout if you want to working on hair. So another thing of this important is the length of this overall length of your hair. You can see we have a smaller length of the hair, or taller. You can see you can change it overall. But if you go to material of the hair, you can see we don't have hair material. You have to assign it. Again, if you accidentally delete that, you can go here and add a hair material, and don't forget to assign to the hair. If you create a hair, these materials are automatically create. You can see you can select your plane, go to the simulation and add a hair, and this material is assigned to the hair. And we have another length here that is control the hair, but it's the main changing the length of the hair. It's actually change the hair guides, length of the guides. You can see it's automatically by default the vertex. We are going make it the area and make it the area, and you can see we need to update the hair. Okay. What's happening? Polygon. Going to editing and regrow. Oh, something happened. I think, yeah, it's linking in her. The guide, the plane is linked there. Okay. I think it's a little bug. Yeah, it's making correct. And then you can change the count of your length again here. Okay, another thing, it's the segment. To better see the segment, you can go a little bit to tools and brush it a little bit. You can see if I bending our hair, you can see the segment of the hair here. Going to the hair, and in a hair I will be explaining more. This is on the count number of the actual hair. I make it smaller number of the hair and simply render. You can see this number of the hair is corresponding exactly to the number of the guides, and you can see it's bending and we have more polygony hair. This is all about the segment. If you need to more smooth, you can see you can also change the segment of the hair, also the segment of the guides. You can see if you change the segment to a number. Okay. We can change the segment of the hair, the guides for more smoother. And it does not change the overall. You can see the hair on itself, it has own segment, and the segment of the guides is just for controlling the style of the hair. Okay, don't think if you increase the number of the segment of the guides, we have a smoother hair. If you want to go to the smoother hair, you have to increase the number of segment of the hairs. If you don't increase the number of hair, if you want to comb or brush the hair smoothly and better, you need to change the segment of it, because in some cases we have a lots of hair guides and you don't need to control a high density of the segments here. But if you go to mode and the points, you have face a lots of points. You can decrease the number of the segments to better controlling and brushing the hairs. For example, go to brush. You can see if you increase the number of segments, you have a lot of segments. But if you want to change it smoothly, you can decrease or increase the number of the segments. So for better controlling the hair, but don't worry about the hair. You can see we have smooth hair in a render, but just these segments of here is for controlling the guides, nothing more. So this is a root. And another thing is map. Map old means if you change the style of your for example this hair and changing to the polygon or changing to the center, you can see it trying to maintain that style, or vertex or polygon. You can see it trying to maintain the old style. But if you make it to the new, it's trying to new the style and the position of your we can see your hair. But in most cases, we need to make it to old. It maintain our if you change the root, it's trying to maintain the style and the position of your hair here. On root, make it to the old and increase the number of that. Make it to the area because the vertex is limited. It's the point of our hair. And if we come here in a point mode, you can see we are changing the number of the hair. It's the old version. Increase the number of polygons. I think it's a lot of bugs here. Going to the mode, make it the tip. If to the plane and in a polygon, and if I delete these polygons, you can see because of the mode of the hair is in old, not unrooted, it's delete the hair also. If I Ctrl Z, go to the hair and make it the unroot. And if go to the plane and delete, you can see it's maintain the unrooted hair here. You can see if you go to the hair, these points means we have the hair that are not connected to other place. And if you go to the model mode and move it, you can see it's the hair are moved because they are unrooted. But if you want to delete that, you have to regrow your hair, or this is not a regrow. For solving such these problems, you have to reroute. Means please restart. You can see our style are dismiss and disappear because we rerouted. Regrow means it's regrowing the hair if you have the changes. We will see that's better. So this is another map of the, we make it the old. Okay, this is the root. You can see we have it 1, 2, 3, 4 segment here. Another segment is growth. It's growing at based on the normals. You can see it's the normal of our plane. They are in this direction, and the back of this is another way of normal. If you select that, if you go to what was that, in a mesh and in a normal and reverse normal, you can see it's reversing the normal. And for such these things, we are to have to go to editing and regrow or reroute, I think, because it's based on the normals. You can see this is a face the wrong direction. Regrow, reroute. No, it's not. It has to be regrow in this direction. But I think because I don't know why it's a new algorithm. If you reverse a normal, it should be going in this direction, but I don't know why it's not. But I think a new version of Sino 4D does not calculate reverse normals and create the hair correctly. Nice. If you change if you want to change the direction of the hair, you can see you have to go to the edit and regrow, or in this case reroute our image to change the direction of the hair to see the changes. Okay, you can see change in this and reroute again, change the Z and the reroute, and nice. Okay, or you can select it randomly. I think first you have to regrow and then reroute your hair to make it randomly. I don't know, in some cases it does not work. Okay, for example, if you go to the direction, regrow and then reroute, it's if you make it local, it's in a word. Okay, if you go to the plane in a model mode and change the direction of your plane and regrow and reroute, you can see it does not calculate the rotation of the object, just it's going in direction. But if you activate local, it regrow and reroute locally on your object's rotation in Z or in X. Regrow and then reroute. So you can change the direction of the hair in any specific angle that you want. Okay. I want to delete first the hair, then the plane, and let's create another plane with more polygon and done. And I assign this material to that to better see this. Select the plane, it's editable, and create another hair for that in the guides. Okay. Another thing of this minimum spacing. Make sure about that. If you go to the roots in the vertex node area, I need a lots of hair here. You can see if you increase the number of hair, it's randomly create the hair. But if you want to assign the minimum spacing of 2 hair, you can, for example, tell the software does not close any 2 hair less than this number if you want. So this is a minimum spacing. Another interesting, you can make lots of hair here. Another interesting, let's go to the bottom. I think it's better we are going to the top. Oh, we cannot see. Make lots of guides here. Another interesting part of the growth tab is density. You can control which part the guides or the hair are growing or which part not with a map. It's the most important part of that. If you go to the density, you can, for example, assign a noise to that. For better seeing that, you need first, for seeing the changes of the density, you need to UV map. Don't forget that. If you shift double click, it automatically gets a review for us. Going to the noise, set the noise or set to box. No, I think which one is better? That's noise is better. Scaling up the noise, and we need more contrast, something like that. So you can see in a black area, they are not growing, and the white area they are growing because of that. So going to that and editing, regrow and reroute, and now you can see the most change. If you want to see the changes, click both of them, reroute and regrow button. Now you can see based on these maps, we have our hair guides. The black area we don't have any hair, and the white area we have. And you can animate your hair with these nodes, and you can do lots of things here. You can see you can animate these noises anywhere in a Cinema 4D. You see these. You can animate your hair, and you can imagine how interesting work you can do with this density. Nice. Okay, and what is the level? I want to come here, click and clear that, and reroute again, in this case to reroute and regrow our objects. Actually, the reroute button is like a map. It's old maintain or make it new map. It's also like auto update. It's like this auto update of map. If you want, you can press them as you wish. or it's regrowing the guides if you change it up the guide menu. Okay, but these buttons are very important if you change this in other settings, but based in the guides settings. Okay, let's continue levels. Okay, let's make another noise to that, and you can see this levels is actually the fall off of this noise. For example, if we have more contrast and scale up a little bit, more contrast, you can see we have a little gray part of here, and the level of the hair, you can see we have to reroute it again. You can see we have a hard edges. If you decrease the number of these numbers and reroute again, you can see we have a smoother part here, or higher level. Now in a higher level, you can see a lot in interpolation between these gray parts, such as these things. Higher level, we have a reroute smoothing between this transition between white and black. But if you want to hard surface between them and without interpolation, just you can see it's delete the hair in between them. But you can see we have a little gray area in between here. It's actually controlling the fall off in between black and white, this level. Okay, you can clear. If, and you can see regrow does not work in here because we don't have any hair here. You can, if you change the style or anything, we can regrow the hair, but in this case we are changing the root of hairs, but we have to reroute it again. If you don't want to Ctrl Z to begin your first, you can store your hair, and if you, for example, to tools and brush the hair, and if you miss and don't want to it, come back and you can restore your hair again to first point, or you can clear if you want. Another interesting and important thing is symmetry. Symmetry is working with add guides. If you select all guides here with the selection tool of the guide, the hair, and we want to delete all of them, go to the selection and rectangle selection, select all of the hairs and delete. You can see we don't have any hair here, but in a hair it's linked to the plane. If you go to simulation and add tools and undock that, I will show you more, but you can add a guide with a brush. You can simply add and brush the guide. But if you want to brush it symmetrically, you can go to the hair symmetry. In which plane do you want? But you cannot see, you have to activate it, show guides. Now you can see it's the wrong plane, for example, in this plane. And auto route. You can see if you brush, you can see the symmetry of your hair. But they are not guides, but they are symmetry. If you want to make them change them to the real guide, you have to make it editable. And then if you add guide, you can see symmetry will be disappear because we make it editable. So this is working with add guides. It's very simple. I will be explain more add guides. So the hair symmetry is here. Okay. And this is an auto update. Okay, that's it. It's all about the guide tab, the most important tab in hair. If you render, you can see this is our hair. Why is that? Because our count of the hair is small. So the growth, so we don't have any changes here. You can add guides, and you can see the count of the guides is turned off because we are brushing. Root is a custom. It's automatically make it a custom, and because of that we have this here. Okay, that's it. Let's go to other tab. Sorry, I forgot to tell you about the point link. If you go to hair, and you can see you cannot select the points of the hair with the default selection tool of Cinema 4. If you want to do that, you have to go to the hair guides and this point links. You need to these are like, looks like a spline. If you want to these hair behave like a spline, you can select the points and move them, loft them, anything that you want. You have to create an empty spline. You need to create an empty spline and go to the hair and drag and drop it to hair. And if you go to the point mode and select the spline, you can see if you select the spline, not hair, select the spline, you can select individually of these splines guides and control the hair with those. So it gives you lots of tools to edit your hair separately. Interesting. And you can use all the tools about editing the spline. Okay, just drag and drop this empty spline to here, and then you can call it the control spline. For example, you can select all of these splines and move them with simple default brush selection. But if you don't want, and deactivate that, or not you can deactivate it because it's empty, it's not important. You can delete that and use specific selection tools just for hair here. This is another benefit of the points link. Please don't forget to visit our TutorialCells apps channel. In this channel, we are introducing Android application and learn how to use them.